Talk Nelson Radio. It's the Talk of Nelson. Sport. The Mako Rugby Roundup.
Welcome to episode 13 of the Mako Rugby Roundup, where we find out who the fanatics are when it comes to all things rugby in the top of the south. I'm Chris Butler, and with me, Mr. Rugby himself, Les Edwards.
Yeah, good morning. Lucky 13, I hope.
Yes.
Episode 13's got a ring to it. Nice to see you without a mask on too.
I know. Yes, what freedom. And I keep thinking every so often, I'm a mask, but don't have to worry. In most circumstances, I'll probably still wear it on the odd occasion. On today's show, we're going to be talking all things with the NPC, actually, a Mako update. Still a very busy schedule. And I want to talk to you a bit about the conference, the odds and evens system as well. Our special guest, Andrew Mako. So great to have him join us. So that'll be interesting. And of course, what was that last night? I mean, that was just unbelievable.
Well, I went to bed at 31:13. I did. Okay, here's a big win coming up. I can go to bed now. And lo and behold, I wake up and there's furore from my Australian friends. My Australian friends hate us at the moment.
I know. Unbelievable. We're going to be talking about that in much more detail. But first of all, Storm Week, 3 games in 10 days. And actually, we did all right, didn't we? We won 2 and lost 1.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with that result. You know, it's always tough playing that number of games in such a short turnaround period. And to end up with 2 victories was a pretty good outcome, especially when you consider the number of injuries that this team has had this season. And we're going to be talking to one of those people, Andrew Mako. He can't travel to Auckland today, so he's one of those 3 players who came off with HIA injuries. And a couple of sore shoulders also. So, yeah, it's just a run of bad luck in terms of the injury department. So Sunday was great, though. Sunny day, Sunday afternoon, defeating Taranaki 38-27. Always good to have a win over Taranaki. 5 tries to 2, pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, and I honestly, going into this game, in fact, when I looked at the fact that we had Wellington, then Taranaki, I honestly thought we'd lose both. And Taranaki had been travelling pretty well, so I thought all in all, especially with the injuries we've got, what a great result.
Yeah, and I just like the fact that we played what I like to think of as shark attack rugby. Our backline play was really quite enterprising, and it was good to see that they did that. So an excellent game. I think the crowd was royally entertained. Yeah. A lot of feedback from people just saying how much they enjoyed the afternoon. And couple of standouts for me. Isn't Noah Hotham a classy halfback? So much potential, Chris, in that young man. Braden Stewart constantly is amazing. He can't play because he's hurt his shoulder against Auckland, but hurt his shoulder against Taranaki and won't be playing against Auckland. But he was tremendous. And Kershaw Sykes-Martin played the full 80 minutes at prop, and that's
you don't see that very often.
That's outstanding, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he's come along in leaps and bounds also.
And an even bigger result, $8,000 raised for Storm Week, the Storm Week appeal for the Nelson Tasman Mural Relief Fund. So what a great result.
Yeah, very pleased with that. We did a text to donate, and we had about 240 people do that, and we also donated $3 for every adult tickets sold, and we had a couple of auction items at the sponsor event. So, to be able to contribute over $8,000 to that fund is well worthwhile for us.
That's a great effort by everybody. Well, Saturday, it doesn't get any easier, does it? Versus Auckland, 4:35 at Eden Park.
Yeah, so it is a tough game, but, Auckland haven't really impressed me greatly this year. I think they're beatable. Our biggest problem is we don't have any locks left. So, we're running Max Hicks and Tiahi Waru Thurika Davida at lock, and on the bench we've got basically back rows. So once the front row feel the weight of 5 flankers behind them, and then replacement flankers as well, they'll be feeling it. But they're all capable players, and I think we've got a real good show of knocking over Auckland.
Do you think we need to knock on the door of a couple of giants to come down just for the line-outs?
Yeah, exactly. There's some tall timber at the Giants. So, it's just a shame, you walk past and there's Pari Parkinson, enjoying the sunshine but not able to play, and he's such a good big size unit. But he'll be back next year.
Okay, so you're feeling pretty confident about that we'll be able to... You said that about Taranaki. Yeah. You said that we'd be able to put up a good fight there, and so your feeling is the same for Auckland?
Yeah, I think we can be competitive. Obviously, it's how everyone goes, and if you can keep the starting 15 on the park for as long as possible without any injuries, that will be awesome. So, we like I said, Auckland don't really impress me at the moment, but they should be favourites, and I'm sure the TAB has them as favourites up at Eden Park.
I was speaking to someone during the week about the fact that he was speaking to someone, and the Mako was saying, well, we've still got an opportunity for finals. Yes. And after the season that we've had so far, that might not normally be the case, but in actual fact, they have got wins perhaps when it's needed, and they're still in the running. So I had a quick look at the table this morning, and I'm looking at the odds and evens, and it's, your comment on the fact that any team has now got an opportunity to win it. And I'm thinking, why even have a conference? What's that about? Because, we're cross-playing between the two conferences anyway. Why not just have a table? And it's based on a point system.
Well, unfortunately, the window for the NPC is 12 weeks, and the number of teams is 14.
Right.
So
yes.
Unless you had a whole lot of storm weeks, which isn't very good for player health and safety, so what they've done is they've decided that with the 12 weeks, everyone will play a storm week to fit your 10 games into a 9-week period.
Right.
And that then allows for quarterfinals, semi-finals and a final.
Let me do my calculations. Top 4 from each conference, and then so on and so forth till the final.
Yeah, correct.
Right. Okay. Oh, well, I'm glad I asked.
And the odds and evens was determined by last year's standings.
Right.
On the table. So we came second, so we're evens.
Yeah.
Waikato won it, and they're odds.
Yeah, right. Gotcha.
And interestingly, they had to manipulate how to fit in Auckland, North Harbour and Counties Manukau, who didn't actually play the full season last year.
Oh, yes,
because
of course. Oh, yes. Yeah, so, wow.
Yeah, mathematicians, eh?
Yeah.
and magicians.
And you'll never keep everyone happy with the draw, will you? Saturday, 24th of September, Mako versus Northland at Trafalgar Park, and they've been travelling pretty well. They've been playing some great rugby. It's also an MBS family day.
Yes, so Northland are travelling very, very well. The Taniwha were perennially a bottom team, but they've got a lot of local players who've come back from other provinces. Josh Morby, their fullback, is an outstanding player. He was down at Southland last year. They've just got some really good players. Ofa Tuangafasi is there. So it's a good team, and they're having a resurgence. They're well and truly entrenched. So for us to make the playoffs, we're going to have to beat them.
Right.
Yep.
Big day.
Absolutely.
And it's a family day, so hopefully the weather's going to be great, so it'll be a big turnout. And even better, there's a curtain raiser, 12 noon, the under-16 Nelson Bays taking on Marlborough. So nothing like a clash between the two provinces.
I agree, and it's great to see age grade representative rugby making a comeback after a period there about 3 years ago where they thought it was wrong for kids to be left out of rep teams. Apparently it would hurt self-esteem or something, but now everyone realises that representative footy's absolutely great and gives some kids something to strive for. So
yeah, and I think that's the thing in life, is that you've got to take the failures, the hard knocks, I guess, as well as celebrate the good times. And in a way, even though it does hurt someone, I've missed out on representative sides, it hurt a lot. And if you're that determined to make it, then it makes you work harder. It just depends, I guess, how determined you are to succeed in that particular particular profession or sport. And in my case, eventually I did make some representative sides, and it's a tough one because it is hard on kids and it upsets them. But life's not easy, is it? So you've got to learn to pick yourself up and carry on.
Yeah. So I agree with that. I think age grade representative football rugby is terrific to have. Great to have a curtain raiser. So gates are going to open at 11:45 at Mako Gate if you want to get there early and watch this under 16s game. Otherwise, Trafalgar Gate opens at 12:45. It is an MBS day, so they'll be rattling the cans for some helicopter rescue money, and also the weather permitting, and no emergencies. We'll have the rescue helicopter landing with the ball runners.
Oh, fantastic! That'd be great. All right, sounds like a perfect day. You're with the Mako Rugby Roundup, and our very special guest today is Andrew Makaleo, who is Mako 141. Welcome to the show, Andrew.
Cheers, guys. No, thank you for having me.
Hey, mate, you took a big knock against Taranaki last weekend. What happened and how are you feeling now?
Well, all I remember was going for a kick-off and Hixie just telling me, get ready to lift him, but then doesn't tell me to pull out. But then didn't really brace myself and didn't know that there was a player coming from behind, and then it was just a hip to the head and just whiplashed. I didn't have enough time for myself to brace for the contact. But feeling good.
Ouch.
I recovered pretty well and backing into my process now from concussion and hopefully available for next week.
Hey, was the hip friendly fryer?
Oh, I'm not sure.
You haven't looked at it? You haven't looked at the replay?
Oh, I've only seen it once, but I'm not too sure. I guess it was just bad timing and the wrong place at the wrong time.
Mate, it's been quite the season for Mako injuries this year. So what is the mindset among the playing group as you deal with those kinds of injuries and preparing for a match with, of course, that desire to try and get a result as well?
Yeah, we are having a lot of bad luck with injury-wise, but then again, we have a lot of young boys that's filling in some big boots, but then again we're just trying to get them up to speed with everything throughout the beginning of the week and get their confidence up so they can get out there and just pull trigger and just enjoy it.
Yeah, so there's a couple of debuts, isn't there, up in Auckland, Sitaleki Baker and Taya Brown getting an opportunity, as you say, to get a Mako cap and some NPC experience.
Yeah, and especially against Auckland, it's a big game against them. And it's the game's off. Well, I know that Seto's pretty excited and looking forward to heading back home and playing. Well, not playing for his home province, but playing for where he stays now. But I know that they've had a big week. They had a good week as well, and I have massive confidence in them to go up there and get the job done.
Andrew, your first-class career began, as I see it from Wikipedia, with 10 matches for Wairarapa Bush in 2015, including 8 tries. That's right.
That's not bad.
That's a remarkable ratio. And you then came to the region in 2016 to play for Harlequins in Blenheim. So how did you get to Marlborough, and was it your intention to try and crack the Tasman Mako squad?
First of all, I was in Auckland for the rest of my career up till 2015. End of 15, I have a good coach. They used to coach me young age grades. Josh Sims, who has messaged me who had took the job at Wairarapa Bush, and gave me a call, and if I wanted to just go down and play some footy. So I thought I'd just take the opportunity to go down and just enjoy it, find the love of the game again. And it was 2015, and then 2016, end of 2015, I got a message saying that there could be a spot in Tasman. Didn't think of it as much as didn't look too far ahead of myself, and just wanted to come down to Blenheim and play some footy. First time in Blenheim, small town, enjoyed it, loved the group down there, and all of a sudden I just picked up a contract for Tasman Mako, so enjoyed it.
Hey mate, quite a big difference between Heartland Rugby and NPC. Did you find that the difference between, I guess, the standards and the pace and the quality was a big difference, or is it not that much of a leap?
No, yeah, there's a massive difference between NPC and Heartland, just with the detail and just full-time training. Heartland was just Tuesday, Thursday trainings. But going to EPC, we're just training pretty much every day. But pace-wise, the massive difference in pace-wise. But just watching the Heartland now, I think they're just slowly catching up to the level that the NPC is, or if not, probably the same.
Yeah, and mate, over 50 Super Rugby caps as well. Then you've got the jump to Super Rugby. So do you find that an even bigger leap?
Yeah, it comes with challenges. Yeah, there's more detail into it. There's even more detail going into Super Rugby, just especially with a lot of players that get the same kind of detail, but it's about just winning moments and just trying to do a role as best as you can and better than the opposition.
So in 2016, you came into the Mako squad. You replaced Quinton McDonald, who decided to go to Europe. And now you've played 63 games for the Mako, including 18 tries. You're part of the leadership group and you captained the side last week. Does that responsibility of leadership sit easily with you?
I wasn't expecting myself to be... I don't mind being a leader for around the team stuff and team environment and all, but if that's what the management and the coaching staff see me as, then I'll just play my part, but at the same time just try and lead with my actions, and then the boys can follow from there on.
Well, your actions certainly are very, very good. You know, you're a favourite amongst the fans of the Mako. You know, everyone likes the way you play, and you do it all with a smile on your face, which I think is a fantastic thing. And yeah, and you're part of a big Pacifica contingent in this team, all of whom bring a lot of joy and laughter, as I know, being around you, as well as really good talent to the group. So is that a reflection of the Mako values and team culture, that our Pacifica players fit in so easily and they are able to contribute so well?
Yeah, I'm a big believer of if every player's enjoying each day and enjoying playing rugby, then that's when you get the best performance out of them. So I think it's a good mixture, and I think it helps our culture as well, builds our culture up to get the best out of each player each week and each day.
Yeah, so, you know, we got the likes of Sione Harvili, who's comes across pre-match as a pretty serious guy, but once the game's out of the way, he's really quite a funny guy, isn't he? Yeah,
well, that's right. Like that's what it is. Like just knowing when to be serious and having a switch, when to turn on and off. Like not a lot of boys are real. A lot of jokers in our team, and especially in different environments I've been in. But when it comes to game time, everyone switches on and just gets their job done.
So a big game tomorrow at Eden Park. How do you think the team's going to go, Cruiser?
I always back my boys up for the result, no matter what, and especially with a lot of injuries and all. And I have big confidence of with young players having a good week and leading up to the game. So it should be a good game.
Cheers, Andrew. Well, look, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show and getting an insight inside the Mako camp. And, mate, we wish you all the best for your recovery and hoping to be back on the park next week.
Cheers. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me on here.
Cheers, mate. That was Andrew Makaleo, who is Mako 141 and also ex-Crusader player and also a Highlander player, and an absolute tower of strength, isn't he?
Oh, he is. He's a terrific hooker. You know, I like hookers who are big-bodied, and he is. You know, just so much strength, like our All Black hooker.
Yeah.
And you know, the just that presence on the park. He's a phenomenal try scorer, Chris. He's got 18 for us already, and that's up there with the likes of Robbie Melnick and Will Jordan. So he's very good at finishing off the line-out drives and getting points for us. Also, as we touched on it, he captained the side last week, which is awesome for him. Yeah. Great experience. He's just a really good man around the camp. You know, he's as a leader in the group. He does take on a fair degree of responsibility, and he creates a very, very good environment, and just a terrific player for us.
Well, obviously the coaching group have seen that, and you don't put someone on the park as captain unless you've got a lot of faith with how they can lead a team. So that says a lot for a person, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Andrew Makaleo, our special guest this week. You're at the Mako Rugby Roundup, and it's time to talk All Black Rugby. And, I mean, 2022, you could write a book, couldn't you? on this story. It's like a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, last night, I don't know what expectations I had, because I actually had in my gut, I thought we'd win, and we'd win quite well. But you never know with this Aussie side. And when we started, Australia had a horrible start. And I just thought, this is, we're going to win comfortably. And then we just seemed to go into our shells again. Finally Australia got the ball, and their big forwards did make an impact. I still think that's what we're missing. We haven't got those big, massive guys to get over the advantage line. We still do pretty well. But, yeah, we just went into our shell. And at half time I was feeling deflated again. And then out we come. Okay, we had an advantage. We started running it and taking advantage of that, and we did get some points on the board. But then in the middle of, again, we do this. Like one time we were in our half trying to win a penalty on a scrum. Why are we trying to do that in our half? And we had the ball at the back, and our number 8 was holding it there. They screwed us. They almost got the ball, and in fact, it ended up being a penalty on us, and bang, points. We just started again penalising. We were jumping across the line-out line time after time again. We weren't learning from that. And give Australia the dues, they were battling against our line. And then at one point, again, Moana puts an up and under in our half. They catch it in our half and score off it. I don't understand that play. And I know we're trying to be tricky, and sometimes it may pull off, but why can't we play the percentages? Anyway, you went to bed
at 31.
31-13.
Because I've now nailed my tip for the match, which is All Blacks by 13 plus, so I'm happy.
Oh, right, yeah.
Now I go to bed. I've watched the highlights. Obviously, at 31-13, Australia didn't have a lot to lose, and they started, spinning the ball. And that Andrew Callaway, is it?
Yeah.
The fullback? Wow, he's got some nice wheels on him.
Yeah.
But yeah, with nothing to lose, they then get the lead. And there's a minute to go. From what I've seen, the referee has decided that they're wasting time. Given a short arm penalty, I think it is, we set a scrum and score the match winner. So, as I said at the start of the show, I've got a lot of Aussie mates who don't like me at the moment, because that was one hand on the Bledisloe for them.
Yes.
A cup they haven't had for many a year. There'd be players in the Wallaby side who have never had it, had the privilege of holding it up. So, yeah, it was a tough loss for Australia. They're not going to be happy until the replay, anyway.
No. And to give the referee his dues, I have to say he warned the number 10 time and time again about wasting time. So by the time he blew his whistle for full time, that was probably the full time he had warned the number 10 about wasting time. So I actually thought that was fair game, because he'd been milking it all game. Even his own players were yelling at him to kick the ball out. And if you're going to ignore that, and if you're going to ignore the referee, and it's just an unfortunate position, and they lost the game. I actually thought Aussie deserved, after that comeback, to either win the game, or at least a draw would have been good, wouldn't it, for an Auckland game. But we've still got this wave of inconsistency within our game, haven't we? We come out and we're magical. Awani, who was incredible last week, just picked some wrong options. He did a backhand bullet pass into Aaron Smith trying to get the ball away. And then when Moanga passed it out to him, he had this gap he should have gone for, and he passed the ball to Barrett with a defender on him. So it's almost like there are a few brain explosions. One person said that when they're getting into good positions, they're panicking and they're not being relaxed in what they're seeing ahead of them. So it's almost like panic play, because perhaps they're a bit unused to, as they start to play well, being in those positions. I don't know, but
it's a continuation of a good week followed by a bad week, followed by a good week, followed by a bad week. And there's no way you should even be putting a referee into a position to resolve a match when you're leading by 31-13.
That's right.
That's the time when, to your point, you play the percentages, you play for possession and in their territory, and Yeah, and maybe just put away some of the trick plays and just nail the victory, and probably win by an even bigger margin if you stick to the basics.
Well, that's what Kieran Reid said. He said, it's hard out there. It's easy on the training paddock. You get in the cauldron and things happen. But he said what we're not learning to do is put teams away by playing the percentages. That's exactly what he said. So it's interesting. I guess that's a lesson this unit has to learn, because I did feel that Whitelock at one point when we were 31-13, I felt that Whitelock actually put them in a pretty good position. But you can't play for all your players. All the players have to be on board. And give Australia their dues, they didn't throw away the towel. They just kept coming.
Yeah.
And injuries, man, there were some injuries on both sides. Yeah.
Look, there was one incident that I was watching.
Yes.
Darcy Swain. That clean out on Quinton Dupire is just absolutely wrong, and all he gets for it is a yellow card. So, the referee swings and roundabouts, had some great time moments, especially giving us that last-minute penalty. But, missing that yellow card, the TMOs ought to be ashamed of themselves. That's just trying to hurt a guy.
Now, we could have drawn and give the All Blacks their dues. They did say, no, we're going for the win. I mean, that could have cost them the championship. It could have cost them the Bledisloe. And as it turned out, we didn't get across the line anyway. But there you go. Fate would have it. But I've got no sympathy for the number 10. He was told time and time again, stop wasting time. And the Aussies aren't going to like it, but you got to listen to the referee. His own players were saying, hurry up and kick it out. So what does that say?
Well, it says they've lost a test match that they could have won.
Yes.
Because seriously, why waste time when there's a minute to go? Just get it to the sideline, right? It's your line-out feed.
Yeah.
Win the line out, maul it for a bit, wind down the clock, and you've won a test match. So, he will look back on that perhaps and think, maybe I should have just acted a little bit differently without trying to milk it. Yeah.
And look, to be honest, not a bad comeback. He did play well as number 10 that they called in, who hadn't played since May, and the last time he played rugby was in Japan, So big call for him to step up.
Yeah, they're having troubles settling on their 10, aren't they?
Yeah.
And which won't be great leading into a World Cup. I would suggest to you that they've got their own issues as much as we have. So, Chris, I guess what happens is we finish the show. There'll be people who will be calling for Foster's head, and we'll review it again next week when we have a great game, because it's the second week in the cycle.
That's right. We'll absolutely blitz them. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, Les. What are you doing for the Auckland game? It'll be on the tally.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'll be watching it at home, actually. I've got some people coming around. We'll watch the game, and then we'll head off and listen to some jazz later in the evening. So looking forward to that.
And that wraps things up. My thanks to Andrew Makaleo for joining us, and also the mighty Les Edwards, of course. You can hear this podcast on talknelson.co.nz and on our Facebook page and on Fresh FM 9 o'clock on Friday nights. We'll speak to you again next week on the Mako Rugby Roundup. Have a great weekend.
The Mako Rugby Roundup. News, sport, events and more. It's the Talk of Nelson. Talk Nelson Radio.